Okay, staying with our optional theme, we are in chapter 1 -10. This is inches. Well, I'm assuming it's inches. I don't see units anywhere. Um, but the dimensions 2.46, 0.38, 1.5. This has the look and the feel. So if I zoom that up a little bit, no. Not seeing anything on the project side. All right, well, we'll just stay with that then. All right, file new, part inch, front plane, sketch, S key. Could have done the L key. All right, so nothing really there. I'm going to sketch this to begin with so that we can look at some of these inferences. So if I follow that inference line, that's going to be perpendicular, but I know from the sketch that I don't want it perpendicular, so I need to stay off of that inference line. And then we'll go up, over, and down, and we can see the blue is showing me a horizontal. I do want it to be vertical, but the vertical yellow is going to be there, but the horizontal is not. But I do want that one to be a little bit longer. And then we'll come over, down, angle, watch for the parallel, perpendicular, and we get that one in there. That should be okay, and that. So there is a certain amount of risk going through the whole mix here. So let's take a look at the dimensions again. Don't see anything real strange, so we'll kind of have to move that one around a little bit. All right, to the point, we have the 2.46. That is not a fractional number per se, the 0.38. And since we are in three-place decimal, we'd have to decide if we're going to round that fraction to 0.375 or stay with the rounded 0.38 for 3/8 of an inch, or if we're going to take it out to its 3 decimal place. So if I say when in doubt, let's just say that we would, if we recognize it as the 0.375, that would be where it would go to. So overall height is 384. But if you're on a team building parts and there is a general consensus, you'll want to stay with that. So we have half an inch, half an inch. And I think I went the wrong way, so it jumped into angle. So 0.5, 0.5, and then 1.5. Oh, I already got that one, so it's telling me I already got that one by throwing in the driven dimension, 0.75. And I don't think it was that one. So let me Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, since it went back into the error. All right, so make sure that I'm coming around since there's a lot of dimensions here. 1.25 and then the 0.75 was that one. I got the midpoint, so escape once will clear that out. And let's try putting those numbers in the right order. So we have a 1.5 that way, and then our overall of 4.75, and that goes fully defined. Now there's no internal geometry on this one, so other than kind of double checking that all of these numbers that I didn't transpose them or mess up somewhere, then we can go ahead into the features, 0.6, accept, and we're ready to save. -10. All right, let's go to the next one. We have a couple of steps. This one would lend itself to the jog, but probably we'll just sketch that in. Let's go ahead and move that over. We're in metric, even though it says inches. So this is a big part if it's 70 inches, but those numbers sure do look metric to me. So whichever way you want to go with on this one is fine. But let's see what happens when we have a big part. So front, and we'll draw the rectangle, 70 and 80. And of course we have to zoom out a little bit because in inches that got pretty big pretty fast. All right, so the line, we'll just draw those three. Now I wouldn't necessarily draw a rectangle here because that line segment on top of that line is, I want to say it's not a best practice. Chances are it won't hurt anything, but if it does create a problem, they're usually more nuisance than anything. But there are places where duplicate entities aren't real apparent, and they can cause more of a confusion than they're worth. All right, so we're going to go 30. And we already have the 10 in there, and then the height is 10. All right, so this time I have drawn some of the geometry and then put in some of the dimensions. Go 65, you can put in all of the geometry. Again, manage this the way that makes the most sense to you. All right, so we have 80, that one's going to go back to 35. And maybe not 0.35, so 35. And our height is 40. All right, we'll get into the circles. S key, circle, and I forgot about my sketch numeric input again. So it's one of those, if you start using it, just plan on continuing to use it, because once it becomes part of your process, part of your workflow, it's going to be a hard habit to break. So selecting the center point, holding down the control, selecting the center point vertical. And then our distance off of is 30. And then this one got kind of messy, but I'm not overly concerned with the dimensions here. We'll clean up in the drawing. If I wanted to take a few minutes, a few seconds, it's really not that complicated. We would clean these up just a little bit, improve the readability. Follow some of the basic drafting recommendations. All right, and then extrude. And the contour is the interior, thickness is 20. All right, so this is a big part, and we haven't really set anything as far as a material. So, but even so, if I go to mass, 2,714 pounds. So would that be a couple tons? No, a little over a ton. So part 1-11. So the difference between our metric inches. Now, one of the things that we could do is in our insert features, we do have the ability to scale this, and it's not perfect. Scale about the origin, but our 25.40005, I believe, versus our 0.03937,008, we'll make it smaller again. All right, so that would be one methodology. Let's go back to fit. And now our mass properties go back to 0.17 pounds. All right, so we can switch pretty easily between the millimeters and inches, and we're at 75 grams. All right, so that gives us kind of a quick method, but not perfect. Our dimensions will be off by tenths of a thousandth. It's just a matter of what we want to do. All right, so this one, know from experience that there is a missing dimension here. So whenever you see missing dimensions, it's up to you to determine what they are. So we'll see if this one, because these were earlier versions, we'll see if this one still has it. All right, so this is millimeters. We'll get started in our metric part. Open up the front page. Let's go ahead and see how this works with our, so we are in the height, that was the 98, but I have that cut off a little bit, so 148.33. So 98.92. I'm going to jump back into select so I can modify that. Double click to modify. And then line, and angle, and line, and angle, and line. And just watch out for all of those inference lines that can sneak up on you. All right, and then make sure I can get into the dimension. Not sure what I clicked on there, but since it didn't show it, I just went ahead and clicked again. 20, 20, and so 20, 20, 20. All right, and as a general rule, I don't like to leave the dimensions in the kind of in the volume or in the region. All right, so height-wise, we're okay. Let's see if we can get back out of click. And 12. And then we have the 30. All right, so something happened here. And the way that we're going to diagnose that then is to highlight it and have it show us the relations. So when I click on that line and it shows me the perpendicular, I can select it from the property manager, or I can find the box and hit delete on the keyboard. If it is in the relation, so if we right click, we can delete. Be careful with delete all, it does exactly what it says it does. And most of the time we don't want to delete all. So 15. All right, our notch, go 40. Let's see, that one's going to be 20. And, well, I can make that one work. If I delete the horizontal, it can go back up to vertical. Sometimes that gets a little strange too if I try to be too cute with that. So 20. And then our line is out here. Some distance, some angle. Not sure about the perpendicular there, so I'm going to try to avoid that and then come back. All right, so 15 here, 30 here, 47 here, and then we had a 12. And a 15. All right, so we're getting there. 13.33. And then a 42. Okay, so that one's gonna come back just a little bit that way. All right, so what are we missing here? If I remember correctly, it was this line across the bottom is missing its dimensions. So I'm also not seeing, oh, the 109.33 from that edge to that edge. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. 40, we put the 15, so what is going on with this one? We got the horizontal, we got the vertical, and since I changed that one on the relationship, it did not automatically imply the infer the vertical. So let's go with the circle, and then we'll deal with the dovetail. All right, so 36. And we'll kind of get that one out of the way. Find the spot, and then 50, 49.5. Okay, so that one's still not looking looking great. So oh, that would be where I missed 26 to 36. All right, that looks a little better. Still looks kind of close there. 36.30. Well, we're going to go with it. This one's always been kind of a strange project, so why should it be any different now? Okay, S dimension, we're going to go to 6, and then to a dimension of 6, height of 9.42. All right, so this one's going to fall into that category of being able to look through the noise, come up with solutions, get it as close as you can, and then we'll see what we can do. So if I were to set that one to like 60, this is one where I like to use the, hey, I'm not sure, let's go back and inspect that dimension later. We could also possibly change it to a, let's see, I'm not sure that's going to show up if I do it that way. So let's still just kind of off of the page. Mark for drawing. And so that one's now going to show up in the darker. And if I do the insert drawing, then that should be okay. All right, so which one did I miss? The 109.33 is between those 2 points. The 148.33. Yeah, that's scale-wise, that's not looking that great, but I think the numbers otherwise are working, so I'm going to go with it. And when this gets over to the assembly, I'm going to do a lot of checking. Try and figure out, maybe that's it. The 40 is off of that line to that line, so that's going to make a difference. And the 50, so while we're here, let's try to move that extension line. And that does work occasionally. You just have to drag slow. All right, and then we're going to go 50. Nope. Okay, let's try the other 50 without the 8 in it. That looks a little bit better. So kind of trust that if it doesn't look right, chances are it's not. So again, not great, but it's looking better anyway. And our thickness is 12. Still going to be paying attention to this one when we um, get into our assembly or whatever this thing is going to be doing. All right, so one of the downsides to building these widgets from a sketch or missing dimensions is we don't really have a good idea of what these are going with. So that one took a little bit longer. We'll go ahead and pause here so that these don't run too long. And again, optional video if you have the time and want to work through these, other than Other than that, just watch the videos, listen to the terminology, and pay attention to the strategies.